रहे हैं about bullying in schools, how it's affecting children, and we're hearing a story of a father whose son went through this and what were the effects that it had on him and his family. So Arnold, before the show, of course, you were telling us that what all led to him and where he is today.
Right.
So I'm going to let my viewers know, of course, how this all came about. Now, 5th grade अंदर इन्हां दे बेटे नूं जदों bullying 4th grade तो शुरू हो गई सी in the bus, 5th grade अंदर जाके it continued, पर इस दी शायद इस दी वजह नाल उन्हां दे बेटे अंदर एक medical condition आई सीगी. हो सकता है medical condition बाद विच भी आ सकदी सी, पर डॉक्टर्स दा मनना सीगा कि शायद जिस तरह उन्हां दा attitude सी, reaction सीगा और उन्हां दी टेंशन सीगी, उसी वजह नाल हो सकता है ये मेडिकल कंडीशन जल्दी उन्हां नूं फॉर्म हो गई. नाउ इस दी वजह नाल ऑफ कोर्स उन्हां दे लाइफ विच थोड़ी होर प्रॉब्लम्स आन लग गए. स्कूल अंदर उन्हां नूं मेडिकल अटेंशन भी थोड़ा चाहिदा सीगा. नाउ 6th grade अंदर 7th grade अंदर जाके एक गल्लां होर वध गईयां जिस दी वजह नाल इन्हां दा बुलिंग इशू इन्ना बुरा हो गया कि उन्हां नूं एक्चुअली हॉस्पिटलाइज करना पै गया सीगा, क्योंकि इन्हां दा बेटा हुण उसी वजह नाल ना अपनी दवाइयां टाइम सिर लै रहे सीगे and other issues जिसदे नाल complications होने लग गए. So now Arnold, tell me, your son was hospitalized,
right?
Okay, because of all of this, the stress and the tension that it was causing him,
right,
it just accelerated the condition.
Correct.
And he ended up in the hospital.
Right, he was in the hospital for 2 days. He's fine now, he's doing okay. But you know, due to that plus the threats that we had subsequently gotten, we made a decision that it was very hard to send him back to school.
Okay.
We thought it was the right decision. It was also towards the end of the year, so having a month and a half of home tutoring, we didn't think that would be so bad. If it was the middle of the year, it would have been probably a much more difficult decision to be made. So we told the school that we need to have home tutoring, and I will say that they did accommodate us.
Okay.
Additionally, we told them that we cannot send them back to school next year, to the school, because these boys will be there and we're concerned about his well-being. We don't need to have him stressed. So we requested that he move to the other middle school. Our school district happens to have 2 middle schools. They accommodated that for us. So they were accommodating, and I think part of the reason why is I think they were concerned with obviously his medical condition.
Exactly.
I don't know. I'd like to think that they would have been similar accommodating if he didn't have a medical condition, considering the circumstances. But I know that was part of a factor in the decision making.
Go ahead.
Now, this has affected him, you know, in so many ways.
Yeah, because that's what I want to know. How did that, and you know, from what I understood, your son's not, you know, and I do want to point this out to others, that bullying doesn't just happen to somebody who's small or short or weak. Your son's a big guy.
He is. He's almost 6 foot tall.
Yeah.
I hate the fact that actually I have to look in his eye now. And he's a big boy. He's a good-looking boy. He's thin. I mean, you know, he should have every confidence in the world.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I think because he's a very nice kid, and I think they felt that he was a, if you will, a target, and he was an easy kid to bother. I'm thinking that's why. I really don't know all the reasons why.
Okay.
But you know, if you would pick it in the lineup and say, would that boy be bullied? You probably wouldn't pick him.
Wouldn't pick on him.
No.
Now, how did this affect him as a person with his personality, and how did this start having an effect on him within the family and outside? What happened with that?
Well, I think he's been very frustrated by the fact is that he's the victim in this circumstance, and a lot of times it seems like the bullies are the ones who are, I hate to use the word winning out, but they seem to be not inconvenienced. He seems like he's always the one who's inconvenienced. In 5th grade, he had to change to the other classroom. Now in 7th grade, he had to be home tutored and be away from all his friends, not being able to participate in gym and the various classes that weren't able to be home tutored. Next year, this year, in a couple weeks, he's changing over to the other middle school. He's not going to be able to, again, be with a lot of the friends he's made over the years. So he's very upset about that, and he feels very, he's been slighted, and it's not really fair. And you know, he's frustrated, and you can see that it bothers him. I can tell you that the bullying certainly affected his schoolwork, his grades, in particularly of the classes that boy was in with him. He didn't do very well. I think he was very stressed. It's definitely had an impact, and emotionally, with the medical condition, he's described to me, and very close, that there are things in his life that are very upsetting to him. and he describes bullying in the same breath as his medical condition he has. So,
Wow.
so it's very dramatic for him, and it's very upsetting. It's bad enough that he has to deal with the medical condition, but to have the bullying on top of it is, you know, has affected him emotionally.
Now, how does, you know, you've seen his personality as a child growing up.
Yes.
Do you see his personality now changed? Has he become more inward to himself? You know, because I know these kind of things can also lead into dramatic change in your personality, the way you perceive a lot of things.
In certain respects, he's, you know, I think that it has affected him emotionally. I think that there were some concerning things that I was hearing from him, hearing from people that know him, friends of ours. But he seems to be doing better now. You know, he knows he has a support system with myself, our friends, his friends. You know, so he knows that there are people there who are behind him. I think that's been a big, big help in him feeling better about himself.
You know, I also want to ask you, as a parent, when we stand back and we watch this happening to our child,
Right.
we want to do everything possible in our way, in our means, to make it comfortable for our child so he doesn't have to go through.
Right.
So I know you've taken some stand and you've made some difference for him also.